This is Ruby's week 1 video recap. So the first thing we're working on today is getting her into heel position or finding heel position. She is going to be on our right side for this, so we're going to hold the leash in our left and some of the slack in our left, and then our right hand is going to be holding the treats. So we always start when we're finding heel position with the dog facing us, and then we're going to get them to move behind us and turn so that they're then on our right side facing the same direction as us. So I am going to use food to start out with this. I'm going to show Ruby that I have the food first, and then I'm going to get her to move behind me by taking one step back, and then immediately forward. Yes! And once she's completed that turn is when I'm going to mark and reward with the food. Giving her a few pieces in a row for maintaining that position, and then I'm going to use her release cue to let her out of that position. Okay. I'll show that to you again. I have a couple pieces of food in my hand. Moving my hand back behind me to get her to move behind, and then bringing it forward again to get her to complete that turn. Yes. And then marking once she's in heel position with that yes. Okay. We've also been working on forward movement with this. So for this, I do use a different cue. So for getting her into heel position, we're pretty much at the point where we can start using heel for this. So let me start there. Heel. Yes. Now when I want to move forward, I'll say, let's go, and I'll take just a few steps. And then when I stop, I'm going to cue her to sit. Yes. Okay. So for me, I like my dogs to sit when I stop, especially if I'm coming up to an intersection or a crosswalk. I don't want the dog to continue on when we have to wait for cars to go by. We started to introduce U-turns to Ruby this week. So U-turns are when you need to make a 180-degree turn with your dog to go in the other direction. It's the easiest way to turn around with your dog without getting them all tangled up in the leash. Ruby. Hi. Ready? Heel. Yes. Let's go. So when you're doing a U-turn, you're turning away from your dog. So since she's on my right, I'm going to turn to my left. Yes. After you've completed the turn is when you're going to mark and reward your dog. Let's go. Yes. Show you one more time here. Yes. Whoops. So if that happens while you're practicing, no big deal. You can just set yourself up from the beginning and start over. Ruby, heel. Yes. Let's go. Yes, good puppy. Yes. Nice work. And then again, okay. Using that release cue to let your dog out of position. Good work. Yeah, good job. We've been working on Ruby's name recognition this week by playing the flying cookie game. So for this, I'm going to take a piece of food and toss it away from me. Go get it. And then when she finishes it up, I'm going to say her name. Ruby, yes. I'm going to mark with that yes as soon as she looks back in my direction and reward nice and close to my body. Whoop, go get it. Ruby. Yes. Okay, so I said her name there. She didn't respond right away. Instead of repeating her name, I just made a silly noise to get her attention, to get her to look at me. Go get it. Ruby, yes. So this is a fun game you can play with your dog just to work on their name recognition and to make sure that they are going to respond. Go get it. The first time you say their name. Nope, you didn't see that one. Ruby, yes. Go get it. So this is the very beginnings of teaching our dog a solid recall. Ruby, yes. Good job. Go get it. Ruby. Yes. Good girl. So the second part to this is charging our recall word. So when we're working on a formal recall with our dog, we will always say the dog's name first to gauge their response to us before we give them their recall word. So if I were to say Fluffy, come, and Fluffy didn't even respond to Fluffy, very unlikely she would then respond to her recall word. So that's why we work a lot on name recognition first before we even worry about adding the recall word into the mix. Look at it. So the other part of this is charging your recall word. So I think you're using come for her recall word. Recall is inherently punishing to our dog because 9 times out of 10 we're calling them back to us to either put them on a leash or bring them in the house. We want to teach them that recalls are not punishing and that they're actually going to be rewarded for it. And we're going to start to do that by rewarding them for hearing that recall word. So when we're charging our recall word, I'm not saying her name, I'm not actually asking her to come to me. I just want her to make the association between hearing her recall word and being rewarded at my feet. So this one's super easy, it'll take you like 30 seconds. All I'm going to do is say come, drop food at my feet. As Ruby's eating it, I'm going to move. Just a step or two. Come, drop food at my feet. Come, drop food at my feet. We'll do it one more time. Come. Go get it. So it's an easy task that we can do with our dogs every day. Just again, to make that association for them between hearing the recall word and being rewarded right at our feet. And then after we've been working a bit on name recognition, we'll start to pair the name recognition with the recall word when we're doing our formal recalls. Good work, Ruby. Good job. This week we've been working on proofing Ruby's mat skill. She's really great at this, so we're just adding in some distractions this week. Go get it. Ruby, go to your mat. Yes. So I'm waiting till she offers me that down position before I mark and reward her. I'm always going to reward down on the mat between her paws. It's going to encourage her to stay sticky in that down position on the mat. So for this week, I'm just adding in some distractions so that she learns that she needs to stay on that mat, kind of no matter what's happening in her environment. Yes. So I've just been kind of going around the kitchen, fumbling around with different things, pretending I'm doing something on the counter. And then as long as Ruby is staying on that mat, I'm going to mark with a yes and reward her back on the mat. Yes. And again, she's doing really well with this behavior, so we aren't spending a ton of time on it. I'm just adding in distractions to help kind of proof this skill. Yes. So she's doing really great with this. Yes. Another thing I've been working on is leaving the room. Yes. We want to be able to go out of sight of our dogs and have them remain on their mat. Nice work, Ruby. Okay. We started to introduce Ruby to a grooming brush this week. So with this, we're going pretty slow because she does get kind of squirrely when I bring it out. She's not quite sure of it, not sure what to make of it. So we want to start out by just presenting the brush to her and then feeding her, because we want the brush to be a nice neutral thing for her. So this week I'm not putting the brush on her at all. I just want her to be nice and calm when she sees the brush. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to bring out the brush and then I'm just going to feed her. So I'm going to give her maybe 3-4 pieces in a row. If she wants to sniff it, she can. I don't want her chewing on it. The criteria is she doesn't have to interact with it. It's just I'm rewarding her for the sight of it. When the food goes away, the brush goes away. And then I toss a little reset cookie. Go get it. And then we're going to do that same thing. She comes back to me. I bring the brush out. I bring food out. Brush comes out. Food. Again, it is not a requirement that she interacts with it. I'm just rewarding her for seeing it and having a nice neutral response to it. Food goes away, brush goes away. Go get it. I'm tossing that reset cookie in between each repetition of this to kind of gauge her interest level. If she goes and takes that food and doesn't come back to me, then maybe I'll end the session there. But if she takes that reset cookie and comes back and wants to continue, then I'll continue on with her. Go get it. Yes. Go get it. Good work, Ruby. So next week we'll start to pair, I've been working on a stand cue with her because she tends to automatically go into a sit. So next week we will pair her stand cue, which I'm going to show you next, with the brush. Okay, so for stand, usually I'm going to wait till she's in a sit or down position because I want to teach her how to get out of that position and into a stand. So for this I am using a food lure and I'm just going to pull it straight forward. Stand. Yes, I mark and reward once she's on all four paws again. Go get it. Whoops, that stuck to my hand. So she does need to stand for a lot of the body handling stuff that we're going to do with her. So this is a good thing to teach her to get out of that sit and into a stand position. Stand. Yes. Okay. Sit. Stand. Yes. Okay. So for body handling this week, I'm just working on handling her ears, her tails, her paws, that kind of stuff. So ideally I want her in a standing position in front of me. She is a bit wiggly, so I may only do 1 rep or 2 before I reset her. So for the ears, I'm going to get her connected to the food first before I even do any touching with her. So she's licking that piece of food. I'm going to just lift up her ear, put a little bit of pressure on it. Yes. Mark with the yes and release that piece of food. When I'm working with the dog's face, so ears, mouth, or eyes, it's okay to have them in a sit position. This might be easier for her. So next thing I'm going to do is work with her eyes. So letting her lick that piece of food, then just gently pulling up her eyelid. Yes. Marking and releasing that piece of food. And then the last one on her face is going to be her mouth. So getting her interested in that piece of food first, and then just lightly pulling up her lips so I can look at her gums. Yes, good girl. Nice work. So then I am going to toss a little reset cookie. Okay. To again kind of gauge her interest level. If she takes that food and doesn't come back to me, maybe I'll end the session there. If she comes back and is still in the game, then we'll continue on. Good girl. So for her tail, I'm still going to have her in that stand position, and I'm just going to run my hand down her spine and then just gently lift up her tail. This is going to get her used to when they have to take her temperature at the vet. Yes. Nice work, girly. Okay. And I'll toss a reset sometimes too if she's like getting a little squirrely and I need to get her back into position. Sometimes it's easier if I just have her completely move away. So for handling her paws, for her front paws, I do like to start at the dog's shoulder blade instead of going right in and reaching for their paw. So I'm going to start at her shoulder blade, slide my hand down her leg, and gently pick up her paw. Yes. Stand. Yes. Good girl. Okay, so she's getting away from me there a little bit, so I'm going to toss a reset. Okay. And then I'm going to show you the hind legs here. So hind legs are similar. I'm going to start, at her hindquarters here. Whoops. You are all over the place, silly girl. Okay. So starting at her hindquarters, sliding my hand down her back leg, and gently lifting up that paw. Yes. If they put themselves into a sit, that's fine. Just get them up into a stand. Yes. Before your next repetition. Good girl. This week we started to introduce Leave It to Ruby. So for this, we're starting with the criteria pretty low. It's just going to be food in a closed hand. So for this, I'm going to try really hard to only say it once and keep my hand nice and still. Ruby, leave it. Yes. So I waited until she backed off. She put herself into a sit and put a little distance between her and my hand. That's when I marked and rewarded her. And I rewarded her from food from my other hand. Reason being, I don't want to give her what I just told her to leave. Ruby, leave it. Yes. And I'm tossing that food away to kind of reset her between each repetition. Let's do it one more time here. Ruby, come here. What are you doing? Leave it. Yes, good girl. Go get it. So as the weeks go on, we'll up that criteria little by little, where we'll then have an open hand, and then we'll try leaving something on a surface and then on the ground. Good job. This week with Ruby, we started to play some easy crate games with her, just to get her more comfortable going in and out of her crate. So for this, I am going to use a food lure to start. Crate, I'm going to toss a piece of food in. Yes, I'm going to mark once all 4 paws are in the crate. I'm going to give her one more after she turns around. Yes. And then I'm going to release her with her release cue. Okay. We'll run through that again here. Ruby, crate. Yes. Yes. Okay, so she chose to lay down in there, which I'm totally cool with. I'm not going to close the door, but I am just going to reward periodically for her maintaining that nice calm down in the crate. Yes. Whoops. My fault, Ruby. My fault. There we go. Yes. And I might move around a little bit, take a couple steps back while she's maintaining that down. Yes. And then when I'm ready to let her out of the crate, I'm going to say, okay, and toss a piece of food away. So I'm going to show it to her first. Okay. Nice work, Ruby. Good girl.